rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective with me. Speaking about that, hey, Nana, count me in on that question over on Rumble. If you guys want to get in on the Rumble thing, you really need to head over to rumble.com, get your account, and follow the American Perspective channel. You can jump on in and get involved with the Rumble crew, the Whiskey Warrior P1s over there. I also have a couple Whiskey Warrior P1s that are over on Facebook, which is fantastic as well. You can go there and join in with those two. That would be Becky and Tommy. Hopefully Mark will show up. I haven't seen him yet, but maybe he'll pop in a little bit later. But we always have a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun in the chats, all over the chats. I can see pretty much all of them except for X. If you're on X and you want to chat with me or chat with us, you better head on over to Rumble, Facebook, or the dreaded YouTube. Which, ironically, YouTube didn't take down my my Memorial Day video. They did smack me with a copyright, but it didn't affect the video in any way. Now, Facebook actually did take my video completely down, as far as I can tell, or at least blotted out the spots for that had the copyrighted music. I don't play copyrighted music that much. I really don't. I try and avoid it. It's just on those special days where you have those special musics that you really should, help to pay tribute when it does occur. But yeah, so they yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of surprised that YouTube didn't. I've actually, some of my traffic over on YouTube has actually kind of started to pick up very slightly. So that's pretty interesting. And my podcast, my audio podcast, can't forget all of the people who listen to me on iHeart podcast. That is fantastic. I've been noticing my numbers have been going up a little bit there as well. So doing great. We're growing the show. We're getting things going. And Becky is over in Australia getting up for breakfast. So good morning, Becky. And good evening to the rest of y'all. All right. So, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. I have my news, who is normally over on Rumble. I haven't seen her yet pop in, but my news and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mind, please stand, remove your hats, put your hand over your hearts, and join in with my news and saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And of course, I thank you. And don't worry, definitely not Karen. I got yours. I got your audio. I haven't listened to it yet, but I do have it. If you want to submit your audio for audio of saying the Pledge of Allegiance to get in the rotation, that would be fantastic. You can do so by recording yourself and sending me the audio file to my email at fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And that will get you into the rotation for the show, for saying the Pledge of Allegiance. You can do it in your style, whatever style you'd like. That would be fantastic. All right, let's get into tonight's sponsor, which is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission: to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online. to get great content about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution, go to constitution.americanperspective.online and check this out. This is an 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather covering tear-resistant, water-resistant pages. And look at this binding. It's not cheap glue, folks. It is actually stitched all the way through the book and all the pages within. It has a 100-year warranty against defects in materials and workmanship, to which we would, if you send it back to the manufacturer, they will either fix it or replace it for free. Sorry about that. It is Buddy tested, Buddy approved. Billy tasted, Billy approved. And my youngest whiskey warrior, who I haven't heard from in a while. He must be really, really busy. But my youngest whiskey warrior has verified the contents within will get you your civics badge in Scouts. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online and pick it up today. I thank them for allowing me to be a brand ambassador. Well, brand ambassador or whatever it is. Affiliate, that's what it is. Affiliate link. And by the way, go and check them out, please. Support them so that you can help support the show. All right. Let's see here. So, obviously, today is June 1st. That dreaded first of the month. And unfortunately, I do have to give a shout out to my dad. May he rest in peace. Today would be his birthday. So a shout out to him. Pops, I hope, I'll be honest with you, Pops, I'm kind of glad. And I mean, this is going to sound bad, but I'm kind of glad that you weren't around to see the crap that's going on now. I think it would have pissed you off. And just anyway, but happy birthday, Pops. Okay. Let's see. Oh, tonight I am drinking out of my Knob Creek bottle, which, as you can see, is it's getting down there. And I am drinking it out of the Lucky Shot USA rocks, old fashioned, whatever you want to call it. Has the We the People glass here, and I got my rocks in the bottom. You can see them. See them there? Oh, there's the rocks. Whiskey Stones they're actually called, but whatever. I like it. Anyway. That's some good stuff. Whew. Good stuff. I like it. And of course, my one bourbon critic is saying, great choice on the Knob Creek. And now I just need to find some Woodford Reserve. All right. Okay, Uncle, I'll go find sometime in the near future. All right. Okay. So let's go on and get to a fan favorite segment of the show, which is On This Day in American History. And, of course, for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. It is chock full of all kinds of American factoids. Take a look. We're getting halfway there, folks. Halfway there. In fact, right before the month of June is a section on displaying the flag and displaying it, like when to display it. Here, you can see it's a whole section on flag etiquette. You can see it right there. Guidelines for displaying and handling the U.S. flag. Now, I'm pretty good at this. One of these days, I'll have to go through this and just see how good, but it's got it for all kinds of different scenarios. Fantastic group of information, and they the book has stuff like that all the way through the book. It has all kinds of things. It has like the flags of the Revolutionary War. It's got all kinds of stuff. Great stuff. All right. So let's read for our July 1st. Don't give up the ship. During the War of 1812 between the United States and Britain, Captain James Lawrence sailed in command of the 36-gun frigate, the USS Chesapeake. On June 1, 1813, the Chesapeake engaged with the warship HMS Shannon near Boston in a ship-to-ship duel. Lawrence's crew was young and inexperienced, while the Shannon had one of the best trained crews in the Royal Navy. The British guns quickly cut away the Chesapeake's rigging, setting her adrift, and the King's men swarmed onto the American vessel. Within a few minutes, Captain Lawrence was mortally wounded. As he was carried below deck, he gave his last order. "Tell the men to fire faster! Don't give up the ship!" Despite the captain's exhortation, the Chesapeake was soon captured. Lawrence died a few days later, leaving behind a wife and daughter. When fellow officer Oliver Hazard Perry heard of Lawrence's death, he had his friend's dying words stitched onto a large blue banner, which he flew from his flagship, the USS Lawrence, named for Captain Lawrence, when he fought the British on Lake Erie in September of 1813. Perry's flag now hangs in a place of honor in Memorial Hall at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. The words it bears, "Don't give up the ship," have become a rallying cry of the United States Navy. And that is today's On This Day in American History. I love those stories. Little stories, little bits and pieces. They're on a daily thing to go through and take a look at it. And of course, I do that every Saturday show. It is a wonderful and fan favorite of it. So, okay. So let's see. Well, as you all know, June 1st begins that wonderful month. Yes, the wonderful month, because June 15th is Flag Day. Bet you guys didn't know that, or at least some of you may not have known that. June begins the month of American Pride. Yes, I am declaring the month of June American Pride Month. So if you have socials, any kind of socials, by that I mean social media, but Facebook, Truth, Gab, GETTR, God, I can't even think, Locals, X, formerly known as Twitter. What you guys need to do, and what I am requesting of everyone, is to post every day American Pride Month with the hashtag Pride Month. And by hashtag, I mean the numbers sign, or the pound sign is what it's actually called. But the tic-tac-toe sign, if you don't recognize any of those, and put in Pride Month and post a photo or a graphic or anything that is the American flag, the U.S. flag, the colors. Okay, the U.S. colors. I am doing that on all of my socials, so every single day I will post American Pride Month with the hashtag Pride Month. And yes, that is to match those morons that are running around trying to make the rainbow flag the national flag of America. and posting a photo of, or a graphic or something that is of the American flag. Okay? So that is my request out to all of you. If you see this video and you are proud to be an American and proud of America and what she has done throughout her 200 plus years of service, please join me and let's take back June. Now, it doesn't really matter, if you are of the persuasion that digs those flags, the rainbow flags, any one of them. I don't even know half the time what the thing even means anymore, because they keep changing it. But here is the thing: is that that what you do in your bedroom, what you do in your private life, none of that matters. What I think a lot of people get ticked off about, I know I do, I'm a little irritated, is that why are you making that your entire significance in terms of who you are? That is just a small part of who you are. So what's the point in putting out these flags and talking about it? And even worse, places like Seattle, nearby me, where we have a freaking parade where you can walk around with your junk hanging out and everything else. That they've got, come on, you've got naked people who are freaking in bondage gear. What the hell kind of pride is that? And half the time, they're not even, realistically, if you were like a Dirk Diggler or something like that, where you had, if you were a guy and you had like an 18-inch long member, maybe I could say you would be proud. But the fact of the matter is, folks, is that it doesn't matter. That is not necessarily who you are. It is a part of who you are, but it's not the only defining factor as to who you are. And so why do you even need a month to, quote unquote, celebrate this? And again, all you're doing is you're running around and trying to make it, so you're trying to turn it into something that it much bigger than it actually needs to be. And so that's why I am running that campaign. And I need everyone's help. I've been asking people on X. I've posted it on Facebook. Just put in, you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be nasty. You're going to get nasty comments. Just let it go. And all you have to do is just post American Pride Month with the hashtag Pride Month and a picture or graphic of the American flag. That's all. That's all you need to do. Don't need to get mean. Don't need to get nasty. Don't need to say anything else. Just do that. And let's take the month of June back, because it is Flag Day in the middle of June. Now, the other thing that is interesting about this month, or that a lot of people, a lot of the left are really calling out, is the fact that it is apparently National Gun Safety Month, which, yeah, I don't really understand why you would necessarily need that too, but it all kind of blends together. It's like the leftist thing, because I've seen it on the socials on both on the socials on both. Now, I see, let's see. Oh, Bonnie. Bonnie is asking a question about Juneteenth. All right, so Juneteenth, for those that don't know, June 14th, I think, or June 19th or whatever, is when the last vestiges of slavery in the state of Texas were finally abolished. And that's a celebration, basically, as Texas finally recognized, let's say, of the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's technically the end of the slave in America. And so that's kind of where they get that. And actually, Tommy also posted that on June 19th, 1865, nearly 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln emancipated enslaved Africans in America, Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas, with the news of freedom. More than 250,000 African Americans embraced freedom by executive decree in what became known as Juneteenth, or Freedom Day. That's where that comes from, okay? And yeah, it's a Texas holiday. But anyway, so there you go. All right, so we got a lot of things to celebrate this month, but I want to take it back. I want to take back June, and I want to make it American Pride Month, and we can be proud of the fact. I was on X, and this one account went and was saying something about the founding fathers would be rolling over in their graves with the idea that we have, a quote unquote convicted felon going for president, and that wasn't the case. And so I responded back and I said, well, the founding fathers also didn't anticipate that politics was going to be a career, and that also our country wouldn't be led by religion to essentially drive the laws in the country. And I said something else too, and then some idiot comes back and I said it was, I listed like honesty, ethics, morality, so on and so forth. And so somebody went and wrote all of those words back and put in parentheses slavery after every single one. And so I responded back to him and I said, you do realize that Britain and America were the first two countries in the world to abolish slavery, right? I swear, sometimes these people, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. They're just so goddamn stupid about American history. And before I get hit, American history, as Morgan Freeman points out, Black history is American history. Anyway. Okay. All right. Fat pause. Here you go. All right. So let's go take a look at some of the more aftermath of course, the Trump bogus conviction that's happened in New York. So let's go take a look at this. Here we go. I freaking forgot to set this up. Where is it? Here we go. So according to the Daily Wire, a new poll has come out, and Trump is actually winning New York independence. He's closing the gap in the what would be considered a super blue state to single digits, according to this poll. So it's an Emerson College polling. The Hill PX11 survey was released on Thursday, showed that President Biden's lead in a two-way matchup has shrunk to only 7 percentage points, 48 to 41. With third-party candidates, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, Jill Stein, etc., Biden's lead shrinks to just 6 points, 44 to 38. 48% of the voters surveyed were registered Democrats, 23 were Republican, and 29 were independents. 46% of the voters surveyed came from New York City. President Biden's job approval among voters in the survey languished at 39%. 50% disapproved of how he is handling the presidency. None of this is really surprising to anybody who's paying attention. Apparently, the last time that a GOP presidential candidate actually won New York was President Ronald Reagan's landslide victory in 1984, where he beat out presidential candidate Walter Mondale in 49 states and won New York by 8 points. And I've shown you guys that map before. This is, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, this is just one of many things that I've been seeing. For an example, there's a bunch of never Trumpers that are now supporting the former president following his conviction. For an example, Ron Rule. He's a former As Seen on TV CEO, and he goes, I'm voting for Trump. This is his post on X. I'm voting for Trump. I don't even like him. I'm just tired of the left, tired of DEI and gun laws and tax hikes and climate nonsense and billions to foreigners. I'm not voting for the man. I'm voting for the pissed off bull in a china shop who wants to burn DC to the ground. This is perfect. Oh, there's another person called Michael. I'm a registered Democrat from New York. Have never donated to a political campaign before. Neither did I up until this moment, or up until this week. He says, I've just donated to Team Trump because our justice system is rotten to the core. I suggest you do the same to save our democracy. And for those of you that don't know, go to Donald J. Trump, all one word, DonaldJTrump.com to go ahead and donate. You can donate there. Daniel Bostic on X says, I'm an RFK guy, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but I just donated to Trump 24. I just can't take this anymore. These freaks are destroying our country. Well, Nick Freitas, I'm not sure how he pronounces his last name. It's a representative he's a representative from Virginia. He is a Republican, all right? But he goes, well, congratulations, Democrats, congratulations. I didn't start out a Trump fan. I supported Rand Paul in the primary in 2016. I was skeptical of whether or not Trump would do what he said. Even after supporting him in 2020, I was frustrated by some of his policies. But now I will. Angie G. This independent is now voting for Trump. I have never voted for him before either. What a disgusting trial. And all of those were courtesy of the Washington Examiner, for those of you that are interested. You can go ahead and check them out on X. But hey, what's even better, though, is not so much that you see all of this support coming out from the trial. What's even better is when you have those goodbye. What's even better is when you have those Democrats who are in vulnerable seats and they just keep their mouth shut. For an example, this also from the Washington Examiner, vulnerable Senate Democrats dodge Trump's guilty verdict. Mum's the word on former President Donald Trump's guilty verdict for most Senate Democrats facing swing state re-elections next year, a departure from their progressive colleagues who welcomed the historic conviction. The strategy on such a contentious issue underscores the potential vulnerabilities presenting more than a half dozen Democrats in battleground Senate races, any one of which could determine control of the chamber. Neither the offices nor the campaigns of Senators Jackie Rosen in Nevada, Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, and Bob Casey in Pennsylvania responded to requests for comment on Friday to the Manhattan jury convicting Trump. After publication, Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio said in a statement to the Washington Examiner, "I'm not a lawyer or a judge, but I've said from the beginning that no one is above the law. Ultimately, this is up to the legal system to sort out and for the American people to decide in November." A spokesperson for John Tester, who's a Democrat out of Montana, told the Washington Examiner, Senator Tester respects the judicial process and believes everyone should be treated fairly before the courts. Voters will have the opportunity to make their voices heard at the ballot box in November. And you know what? They're not wrong. None of them are wrong in terms of that. All we have to do, folks, because regardless of whether these people were on board with it or not, they are Democrats. And Democrats have a consistent history of being detrimental to this country. We need to get rid of the Democrats. Now, I'm not saying that Republicans are the answer to all your problems, but I guarantee you Democrats certainly are the cause of them. Thank you, Dan Bongino, for that quote, because he is spot on with that. Spot on. Sorry, I just caught up a little bit on the Rumble, in particular, the Rumble conversations. Apparently, I am better than CNN. And that everybody who's in the airports and the hotels and all that crap where CNN is broadcast, I should be broadcast instead. Thanks, guys. I do appreciate that. Oh, that's great. Anyway, so Biden was asked a question. He gave this speech, okay? And he gave this speech about the Middle East. And he essentially was conversing on some new deal that apparently Israel signed on for, which is kind of weird. But they were going to propose it to Hamas, and they were encouraging Hamas to take it. Okay. So anyway, during that press conference, he walked away and was asked by the reporters if he had, went down the wrong pipe. If he had a comment regarding Trump saying that he was a political prisoner. Well, here's what he had to say. Or, well, I should say, do. Check this out.
To begin, thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir?
Look at that frickin' face. Look at that grin on his face. He thinks this is just absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I think this guy personally, I think he's evil. I think his heart and his soul has been sold to the devil many times over. And his smile, looking back at the press, should tell you all you need to know. 2024 is not Democrat versus Republican. It's not American versus communism. It is literally boiling down to a simple good versus evil. He is literally evil. I mean, I can't understand how anybody, and believe me, this happens a lot. They all go and put this together where they all are talking about how and comparing Biden to Trump everywhere. They keep commenting on how Biden is a decent man and Biden is a honest individual and Biden has moral standards, ethics, whatever, integrity, all of the crap that he does not have. He doesn't have a single honest bone in his body. He has zero ethics. He certainly has no morals, showering with his 11-year-old daughter, enough so that she had to wait. In her diary, she had to write and wait to have to take a shower until after he had gone to bed, so she doesn't get him stepping into the shower with her. There's absolutely no way that I would ever, in any way, shape, or form, ever take a shower with my daughter after a certain age. I never even took a shower. Come to think about it, I never took a shower, but I gave her baths, but that was it. And even then, it was only on a limited basis. There's just no way this guy is a good guy. It's just no way whatsoever that this guy has the best interest of America in his heart of hearts. There is just no way at all. And they continually talk about him being a devout Catholic. He is not a devout Catholic. I'm going to tell you that right now. He is not a devout Catholic because he literally goes against all of Catholic doctrine. And not only that, but he flaunts it in front of their faces. There's no way that this guy is any good for the country or, for that matter, for society at all. None of it. We are in a very, very precarious time, folks. Very precarious, and we need to make sure that we get out the vote in November. Do what you can. Donate. Get, like Bongino keeps pointing out, take 10, 10, and 10. Write to 10 people, make 10 posts, bring 10 people to the polls, whatever it takes to get this guy out of office completely. He has got to go. He has got to go. But it's really interesting when people talk about this trial, especially when it's the left who keeps mentioning, oh yes, he is, he got tried by a jury of his peers. Everything was above board. It was all fair. It was everything was, up on the up and up. There's no way this trial could have been, rigged. Which, by the way, Joe Biden says, if you say it's rigged, yeah, that's you're potentially going to get a visit by his secret police or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, what's sad, though, is the fact that even CNN legal analysts are questioning the entire trial. Guy by the name of Zelen, I guess I don't watch CNN, so I don't even know who these people are, but he's like a legal analyst, I guess, a legal analyst, as Mark Levin would say. But he says, I hate to do this. I would be remiss if I didn't. Whether you are driving in a Ford or a Ferrari, if someone gives you bad directions, you're going to end up lost. And those jury instructions were just a complete, just take the Constitution, throw it out a window, burn it, shoot it, and hang it. Then Palatori, who is another person, I guess, on CNN, said, I think the jury instructions had a very key flaw here, which is the falsification of business records had to be in the furtherance of some other crime. And there wasn't really great instructions on what the other crime was. And he said this in response to a question on whether the jury instructions might lead to an appeals court overturning the verdict. Continued with, under New York state law, they're not required to say which it is, but when they do, the judge has to instruct them on that specific crime. And the problem here is they don't have to prove that they actually committed that other crime. They don't have to prove that they actually had FEC violations, but they have to show that what they intended to do was in fact a crime. And I think is really the shortfall in the jury instructions, is the lack of explanation to the jury as to that federal election law. Now, keep in mind, folks, that federal election law was looked at by the federal government, the FEC and the DOJ. Okay. They already looked at it. They already said there's nothing there. They already passed on it. So, yeah, this thing is heading. I'm certain it's heading. I mean, it's going to be overturned eventually, but that's not the point. The point was for the left to get the words convicted felon placed in front of Trump's name. That's the first and only thing. Well, you know, some of the left, the morons that they are, some of the left think this was all about the NDA payment. That it was because of the NDA payment that he did this. That's what covered up. That's the purpose of the cover up for the elections. Which again, I keep in mind, the elections is not the case because the Federal Elections Commission, which has jurisdiction over it, already looked at it and said, no way. Well, this surfaced. No surprise here, folks. This is not a surprise in any way, shape, or form. But this surfaced out of Woke Spy. There's a report and a story from CNN that focuses on this report released by the Office of Compliance, effectively revealing that from 1997 to 2017, Congress paid out more than $17 million in settlements. There have been over 268 settlements across that 20-year period, all of which came from taxpayers' money through a special fund within the U.S. Treasury. It was made possible by passing the Congressional Accountability Act in 1995. While it was unclear as to how much of the $17 million was for sexual harassment-related settlements, due to the complex reporting system within the Office of Compliance, a source familiar with the process told CNN that more than 2/5 of harassment claims are settled after mediation. So again, people, how many of those, I just got to ask this question. How many, these are all dealing with hush money payments. So how many of those hush money payments could have been done to affect an election? An actual, okay, it's for those of you that don't really seem to understand, let's think about this on a grand scale. So Trump reportedly paid $130,000 to have a story squashed about him and Stormy Daniels. Now, let's never mind the fact that the payment was done after the election was already won, which basically means that it wasn't to try and prevent or trying to do election interference. That's just one angle or one aspect of this entire case that is just so screwed up that I can't even imagine that we have a justice system that is this slanted today. But how many of these $17 million or the 268 settlements were done before elections and to cover up any bad press by these congressional districts? Because think about this. Trump would have had to cover up for the entire country. Whereas in these particular cases, you're dealing with very small districts, congressional districts, that would be much more localized in terms of turning these things around. I think we need to take a look at this. I think we need to take a look at this for sure. I think Congress needs to open this up and go after it. I mean, let's not even talk about Eric Swalwell, who jumped on the bandwagon as soon as he could. Eric Swalwell, Mr. Bang Bang Fang Fang, who hasn't been even remotely investigated to find out what he might have let go during his pillow talk with the Chinese spy, the known Chinese spy. Yeah. All right. Let's take a second before I move on and move out of this thing. I mean, obviously, SCOTUS could potentially step in, looking at, Bush v. Gore back in 2000. So yeah, it definitely could happen. In fact, I saw a report that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, said that, SCOTUS could intervene, although they seem to think that SCOTUS would intervene after all the appeals in New York would be exhausted. But I already talked to you about that last night, and I told you that Mark Levin is looking at it and saying that we could slide around the New York court system. All of that is still on the table, I think. But anyway, as I noted, Flag Day is coming up, and what better way to show your patriotic pride than to get a shirt or other apparel from theflagshirt.com. Now, theflagshirt.com, it would help if I actually could spell it. I don't know why I'm doing this right now. I should have had it already up, but I'm doing it anyway. Let's see, where am I at here? Yeah. There we go. All right, theflagshirt.com. They have their Flag Day sale going on right now. It is up to 50% off select patriotic styles. Believe me, you should check these things out. I constantly wear theflagshirt.com apparel right here on the show. Every single show, I am wearing one of their wonderful cotton polos for men. The cotton, not the performance ones, but the cotton polos, because, I'm not really a performance guy. I am in shape because round is a shape, but I am not a performance fella. So because of that, I go to the cotton polos. But you can go and check it out. Go to theflagshirt.com and check out all of their wear. They've got some wonderful styles available, prints and things like that. They also have accessories like hats and glasses and things like that you can get yourself set up for not only Flag Day, but also you can get set up for our Independence Day, which happens on the 4th of July. Go to theflagshirt.com. and check those out. And hey, if you want an additional $5 off of your order, go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, where you can get a code that you can put in at checkout to gain $5 off your order. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online to get that code and put it in at checkout in the promo code box to get $5 off your order at theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt.com. And in fact, they actually even have their 4th of July outfits. They actually have it there. They 4th of July outfits available. They call them their 4th of July, but they're Independence Day. I need to call them. I need to write them. I need to say, hey, stop calling it 4th of July. It is Independence Day. It's Independence Day outlets. Sorry, that irritates me. That's one of my push button pet peeves. It's Independence Day. 4th of July is just a date. Independence Day is the holiday that we celebrate. Okay, I've said enough. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Sorry, I just kind of went off a little bit there. That was kind of fun. Okay, so one other thing that is popping up about Biden for now is that Biden, you recall I talked about this. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. You recall that I'm not done with my other one yet, dude. It's coming, but not yet. Jeez. I keep getting hit with new drink, not yet. Now it's empty. I'll maybe pour it here in a minute. Okay. So remember how I was telling you that the Biden DOJ was blocking access to the physical audio tapes of her interview. And there was some questions with regards to the fact that Joe Biden released the transcripts, but is now trying to hang on to the audio tapes. And we have to wonder why. Because again, like I keep telling people, the printed word is one thing. But when you lack the inflection, the tone, the delivery of what is being said, you tend to end up with challenges. This happens to me all the time on X. I read somebody's statements on X, and they are actually saying something that I take to mean something different. And the next thing that happens is we end up with a bit of a disagreement and a misinterpretation on my part. You need that additional inflection, that tone, the delivery again. What is the purpose behind it? Where's the emotion? Printed word is devoid of all of that. Well, Joe Biden's DOJ is trying to hide it. I told you this before, but now this comes out in red state. He files some specious arguments in order to try and keep that audio hidden. I would love to see this come out, especially have it come out before Trump gets his sentencing hearing going. I would love to see this. This would be awesome. But he literally mishandled classified documents. That's been proven. Her figured it out and all of that other stuff, and basically said that he wouldn't bring charges because Biden was just a feeble old man with a poor memory. He basically is saying that there's no doubt that it had happened. Okay. Biden had stacks of documents in his Delaware home. Boxes of classified docs in his garage, mounds of classified material, none of which were declassified because he had no authority to declassify them before 2021. Well, the Biden White House tried to have, and this according to the Red State piece, Biden's White House tried to have her sanitize his remarks because the report had already been issued. When the public read the report, the White House comms team and Democrat apparatchiks leapt to Joe's defense, claiming he was fully in control and that Hur had, in essence, lied. For instance, Biden and his acolytes claimed that Hur had brought up Biden's son, Beau, which he hadn't. Hur released the transcripts and confirmed that Biden had once again misrepresented key facts. When does this guy not lie? Somebody tell me, when does this guy not lie? He has lied throughout his entire career. He plagiarized. Even when he was in college, he plagiarized. Anyway, so all of this is part of the transcript. And now, according to Judicial Watch, who is trying to get the public, or the tapes put out in the public, they announced that the White House admitted in a federal court that the transcript is not accurate and is missing filler words such as or and words that may have been repeated when spoken, such as I, and, which were sometimes only listed a single time in the transcripts. In its new filing, Biden's Justice Department makes the extraordinary assertions of executive privilege and privacy to hide the Biden audio. The agency makes the unprecedented assertion that because AI could be used to alter Biden's words in the material, that the material should be kept secret. All of those reasons are just bullshit. They're specious. And why? Because the transcripts have already been released. Now, if the transcripts are not correct, which, by the way, them saying that the transcripts missing filler words means that they went and sanitized it. So now the question that must run through your head is, how much more was it sanitized? They've admitted to the fact that they are taking times where he's sitting there and saying and repeating words, as we've all seen him do in front of the cameras and the microphones. But yet they are not willing to repeat or to release the audio. And you have to think to yourself, why would somebody want the audio kept quiet? Could it possibly be? Could it possibly be that they altered the transcript and they don't want anybody to compare the transcript to the actual audio tape? It's possible. Now, Biden claiming that there's a privacy issue when his words are already part of public record with the transcript is absurd. Unless there are words that have not been included as a part of the transcript. Claiming that Biden's voice could alter, that AI could alter it? Seriously? Like, we don't already have enough clips of Biden speaking that we could make that AI could make a series of audio. That's just bullcrap. Tom Fitton, who is the chief of Judicial Watch, has basically been like, yeah, they've altered the transcript. So it's not accurate. It was altered to avoid his obvious fumbling to answer questions. Which, again, yeah. DOJ is not acting in the public's interest, but for Biden's self-interest. The DOJ doesn't want the audio released, this from the piece, doesn't want the audio released because it undoubtedly will confirm that Hur, in one respect, was right. That Biden is a shaky old man who has no business sitting in the Oval Office. Yeah. I totally agree with this. There's no way that they can claim that this audio is going to be as accurate as the transcript when they've already admitted that the transcript has been altered. There's just no freaking way whatsoever. We need to get this. We need to get this audio released to the public. Okay. So I got a question for everybody. How do you feel about our tax dollars going to rebuild Gaza? How do you feel about that? Because that's exactly what Biden wants to do. So remember how I mentioned that speech before he gave that awful, ugly look, that evil grin, smirk at the end where he was asked that question? Well, according to his proclamation about it, he was speaking to the reporters at the White House, and he announced the new ceasefire proposal, which will also keep Hamas in power, by the way. I mean, I don't even understand how Israel could have let this pass. Israel needs to just delete Hamas completely from the face of the earth. That's just what they need to do. But he vowed, as a part of that deal, that ceasefire agreement or proposal, he vowed that the American taxpayer will actually pay to rebuild the Gaza Strip. Now, first of all, 5 Americans are still being held over there. Okay? 5 Americans are still being held by Hamas. And we are not even in the frickin' war. We're not even a part of it. In fact, if anything else, we've been holding Israel back from doing the job that they were supposed to be doing. And yet here we are, and not to mention the fact, don't forget the fact that we put out a freaking floating pier that ended up getting destroyed because of bad weather. Because it was being used in a way that it wasn't supposed to. And we left the pieces there, by the way. I don't know whether they're going to rebuild it or what the deal is. But Biden said in phase 3, a major reconstruction plan for Gaza would commence. The United States will work without partners to rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals in Gaza, to repair communities destroyed in the chaos of war. Now, let's just take a look at who actually lived and lives still in Gaza. Let's just take a look. So there's men who live there who raped and slaughtered Israeli women. They went and got a hero's welcome on October 7th. I'm not even going to play the video for you, but you can go and take a look. Okay. At it. I've got the article link in the video descriptions. But these Palestinians these Palestinian civilians who he's been trying to get, aid to, they support frickin' Hamas. They're the ones that actually voted for Hamas to govern them when Israel pulled out in 2006 and gave Gaza up. 80%, 75 to 80% of the Palestinians that live in the Gaza Strip, they think what happened on October 7th was freaking awesome. They loved it. There's also video which has been sent many places. I'm not going to play it. It's disgusting, of some of the women who got taken and had their legs broken and blood leaking from their private parts. It's just horrible. 72%. Now here's a post back from December 13th of 2023. of the Palestinians. It was a public opinion poll published by the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research, where they found that 72% of Palestinians in total say that Hamas's October 7th massacre was the correct decision. And that if presidential elections were held today for Palestinian leadership, they would vote Hamas in. I mean, just look at these numbers here, folks. And it's not just Gaza either. Take a look at this. I'm going to show this to you. I want to get this bigger here. Look at this survey. The Gaza Strip. Even the West Bank, which is in between, for those that aren't familiar with geography of Israel, the West Bank sits between Israel. It's Israeli territory, but it sits between Israel and Jordan. And the West Bank actually holds Judea and Samaria, very, very key biblical places. But look at this. The blue is the correct, meaning that they felt that the Hamas launched attack against Israel on October 7th was correct. 82% of people in the West Bank who responded believe that it was a correct one. Folks, we're dealing with animals. They literally are animals as far as the West is concerned. These people would have zero qualms about killing any of our people who are being, quote, celebrated this month. They would have zero qualms about doing it. The Palestinian Authority, by the way, isn't even it's not Hamas. The Palestinian Authority is actually in the West Bank, and they are supposed to be Hamas light. But the fact of the matter is that all of these Palestinians look for one thing and one thing only, and that is for the destruction of Israel. They call it out. They call it out all the time, from the river to the sea. They think Palestine doesn't even exist. It never has. It's never existed at all as a country. There is no governing body. The fact that they even have a flag is amazing. But there's no governing body for Palestine. They're not a country at all. This guy, Joe Biden, in support of these people over in the Middle East and trying to get their spaces rebuilt, when we weren't even a part of it, our tax dollars shouldn't be going over there at all. Period. And we shouldn't be holding Israel back. I mean, our tax dollars should support Israel. Period. They're our ally. That's it. We should help them out because they're the single and only Western culture in that entire area of the space. Well, you think Joe Biden doesn't want World War III? Oh, gosh, if you're a lefty and you think this guy is any kind of intelligent man, he's just a complete moron. But to any kind of intelligent man, let me just show you something. Joe Biden has now, according to Breitbart, Joe Biden has now given Ukraine permission to hit targets in Russia. In Russia, with the weapons, the U.S. weapons that we sent over there. Now, you'll recall, not just 2 weeks ago, he was saying that any of the weapons that we were sending over to Ukraine were supposed to be used in a defensive posture only. Well, guess what? Now, he's giving Ukraine permission to actually hit targets in Russia. Do you think that's not going to... do you actually think that that's going to raise tensions or ease tensions with Russia? That's This isn't going to bode well for us, folks. He is looking to start World War III, period. These are U.S. officials said on Friday that President Joe Biden has permitted Ukraine to attack certain targets on Russian soil with American weapons. A senior American official who spoke to Fox News described the authorization as a limited policy shift that would give Ukraine the means to defend the city of Kharkiv from long-range Russian bombardment. Yeah. Not that I really, not that I think that Ukraine was actually listening to Joe anyway. I mean, Israel basically gave him a big, double-barreled, not so family-friendly middle finger. But, now we're just going to escalate the situation. Yeah, don't think the war in Ukraine is really going to go very well, which, by the way, speaking of that, in a related note, this article in the Defense Post, there's a Navy admiral who is a reportedly high-ranking official, has warned that China and Russia have intensified attempts to infiltrate U.S. military bases. You remember that military base, the Quantico thing, the story that I told you about not too long ago, where they weren't sure what that situation actually was? There's some indications that that was a precursor probe to attempt to attack Quantico eventually. But now we have a Navy admiral who is essentially saying that, yeah, guess what? China and Russia have been pushing further. U.S. Fleet Forces Commander Daryl Caudle recently told Fox News that infiltration attempts by these near-peer adversaries are happening at least twice a week at Navy bases alone. He said that although these infiltrators have passports and other documents to justify their stay in the U.S., they are too suspicious to be granted authorization in military bases. Usually the cover story is, I am a student, I am an enthusiast, I want to see the ships, that type of thing. We just have to turn them around and get biometrics, Caudle said, adding that it is difficult to tell the underlying motive of these suspected infiltrators. Now, Caudle said that in 2023, more than 100 attempts were recorded from Chinese nationals alone. And yes, definitely not Karen. They were acting as Amazon drivers. Correct. And of course, keep in mind that the increase in Chinese immigrants, because we've had a bunch of Chinese illegal aliens that have come into our country in the last 3 years, from 342 listed from 2021 all the way up to 24,125 encounters with Chinese illegal aliens just this year alone. I think they're talking about 2023, but maybe 2024 also. Yeah. Folks, we are in a very precarious position, both nationally and internationally. And the only way to resolve this is to make sure that you vote out these Democrat, I want to say something, but I can't. Morons, there we go, I'll say that. These Democrat morons in November. Do not vote Democrat. If you see a big D behind these guys' names, ignore them. Ignore them. We have to get these people out. We have to get these people out of our government. And the only way to do that is to elect Donald Trump in November. Well, you know how earlier I was talking about Biden losing the independents and everything else with regards to it? Well, he's also losing a very key voting block. Very key voting block. Which is the black community. And according to this piece in PJ Media, the black community, his black outreach is failing, which here's a photo. If you're on rumble.com, you can see it on the video. There's the photo of him at the black college, the HBCU, I think historically black colleges and universities, one of them, that he was there, where they some of the graduates actually stood and turned their backs on him while he was giving the speech, telling them that they have to telling them that they have to work 10 times harder than anyone else in order to make it in this world, which is a bunch of complete shit. That is stupid. Everybody has to work hard in order to make it in this world, to make it in America. Not just black people, not just Asian people. We all have to work hard. Well, anyway, sorry. I went dark mode. Anyway, a poll from April found that only 55% of black voters actually approve of Biden's job performance. Now, they say that ghastly number is only the beginning of Biden's troubles with the Democrats' most reliable voting bloc. Now, 90% of black people voted for Biden in 2020. And they also voted in record numbers, by the way. But now, the black community in 2024 is much less enthusiastic about voting for Biden. Gee, I wonder why. Do you know that most of the, just a side note, most of the student loans that he has been forgiven have gone to wealthy families? They're not hitting the people who have maybe the first generation of somebody going off to college. It's hitting all of the they call them the blue, what do they call them? Blue blood families or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, Biden aides have talked about the information gap. Biden has done all these wonderful things for the black community, but black voters aren't hearing about it. That's what that's what they think is the problem. How about the people are waking up to the fact that inflation is the highest that it's been in 40 years, that we have had all kinds of freaking problems with not only inflation, but crime is on the rise, regardless of your bullshit reporting about it, and so on and so forth, that are directly impacting these low-income areas. And I'm not saying that all blacks are low income, but there is a predominance of black Americans who are in low-income spaces. This is just freaking crazy. Folks, if you're voting for Biden in November, you can just kiss my ass. I'm sorry, but this guy has no reason to be in the White House. Period. He never should have made it in the first damn place. If you had known anything about history, and this guy's history in particular, you would not have voted for him in the first damn place. He's a liar. He's a plagiarist. And now we know that he not only set up a huge pay for influence scheme, illegal pay for influence scheme, but we also now know that he showered with his freaking daughter. That he's a goddamn freaking pedophile. Possibly even molested his own daughter, which would be considered incest. Hello? This guy is a sick and disgusting individual. That's all I gotta say. All I gotta say. Speaking of sick and disgusting individuals, we're going to take a shift to the wonderful COVID-19 Fauci. Now, I haven't really been paying attention to a lot of this. By that, I mean, I'm not like bringing it on the program, mainly just because we've got plenty of enough other shit to go on and go forward with. But here's the thing. Fauci knew that the Wuhan lab, which, by the way, he is now claiming that he didn't even read the grants his organization gave in order for the gain of function research that happened in the Wuhan lab that caused all of this shit. Okay. But Fauci has now admitted that there's no evidence for any of his pandemic guidance regarding masking or social distancing. He was in congressional testimony. He reviewed zero scientific evidence behind the specific recommendations for masking children or maintaining the 6-foot social distancing before advocating these policies during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. What in the hell was your job then, man? He didn't bother to look at any of no scientific evidence. He just stepped out and was like, yeah, you know what? 6 feet sounds really good. And oh, by the way, put on that paper face diaper. Go ahead. Put it on. That's going to do it. That's going to protect everything. The revelations came from a full transcript. This is, by the way, in the Washington Examiner, just to kind of point it out. The revelations came from a full transcript released Friday of Fauci's closed-door transcribed interview session in January before the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. The publication comes days before the former director of the NIAID is slated to testify in his first public hearing since his retirement in December of 2022. Seriously? This guy, and for those of you that don't know, he's the one that was talking about back when the AIDS epidemic hit in 1980. He was the one that perpetuated the myth that you could get AIDS just simply by sitting on a freaking toilet seat in a public bathroom. He was a moron then, he's a moron now, and everybody who sits here and says, well, Trump did this bad, Trump did this bad. No, Trump was listening to this asshole, okay? Fauci didn't even bother looking at the grants that he was giving out. He didn't even bother to look at any of scientific evidence before making supposedly scientifically pushed recommendations. Apparently, I'm getting a little too excited because the audio's cutting off. My apologies, folks. I'm trying to keep it somewhat low, but anyway. Oh, this guy. I'm just saying. This is just going to drip out. I'm telling you, all this is going to do is just drip. It's going to drip out. And pretty soon you're going to see those ads on the television that are saying, were you injured by the COVID-19 vaccine? Call us. We're the ambulance chasing lawyers that are going to get you money. Compensation. Your deserved compensation for this. My God. Anyway. All right. I got one more story here, or one more thing. You know, the whole thing, and then God, it's yeah, exactly, Coco. You may be entitled to compensation. Yeah. Yep. That's them. Oh my gosh. I can't. The last 8 years or even less has just been one thing after another. And I cannot believe that we this country is just, we're in a state that I can't even imagine. I'm serious. I can't even imagine that I would even think for a second that I would be in the middle of history making crap like this. I just can't. All right. Last thing on June. Apparently there are some companies that have gotten the word. They've gotten the word that maybe backing Pride Month is not exactly the best thing in the world. So apparently there are some companies out there, according to this Just the News article, that are scaling back Pride Month after last year's public response cost them millions. We're making a dent, folks. Just going to leave you on this note. We're making a dent. Do not be afraid to stand up and stick to your principles, folks. Stick to your principles. Because I'm telling you, the message is going to get heard. So in this group, or in this message, or in this article, I should say, industry analysts and executives in May suggested that the boycotts from last year's and targeted campaigns from conservatives intended to push back against the pervasiveness of Pride-themed merchandise has evidently pushed companies to pursue a toned-down approach to Pride this year. Nobody in the media, now this is Pink Media president Matt Scholarud, told the USA Today that nobody in the media, marketing, and advertising world wants to admit how heavy and hard this has been. Ever since Target and Bud Light had their fiascos last year, a tremendous number of brands have decided it would be much better to sit on the sidelines and let this sort itself out. Global Data Managing Director Neil Saunders, moreover, highlighted the polarization of American society around political and social issues, telling the outlet that if you promote pride, some people will be unhappy with it. You think? So he continues by saying if you don't promote pride, some people will be unhappy about that. It's not a battle you can win completely, which is why some retailers and brands are taking a middle-of-the-road approach and keeping it moderate, he continued. They are doing some promotion, but they are restricting it to the things that they think are palatable and acceptable for most people. How about this, folks? How about you guys stay out of social issues completely? How about that? How about instead of pandering to the 2, 3, 4, or 5% of American society, and rather than pandering to the minority, you just shut up about it and sell your products and services? How about, folks, you actually look at your majority customer base and you just ignore any of the social justice warrior bullshit that's been running around in the last 5 or 6 years? How about that? Focus on selling your product, not to the small, limited 2, 5%, 10%, or whatever, but actually selling your product. Advertise your product as well-fitting, comfortable. You don't have to sell it to a specific social construct. You don't have to. Your advertising people should be smart enough to be able to go, you know what? This is a man's razor, so we're going to sell it to men. This is a woman's razor. We're going to sell it to women. We're going to appeal to the largest segment of our customer base in order to sell this. And that's going to make our prices and our company and our products go much faster. Stay out of the freaking social justice bullshit. Stay out of it. You don't need to sell to it. You don't need to impact your sales just because of the fact that you want to make a 2% or 3% or 5% or 10%, even 10% happy. Shit, even if it was 25%, which would be really stretching it, but even if it's 25%, why would you sell? You're missing out on 3/4 of your customer base by pandering to the small percentage. And that's exactly what's happening. Thankfully, some of these stores have gotten the message, and they're starting to not pander anymore. All right. Oh, looks like I'm going to go over a little bit, but hey, that's the way of the world. Here we are with tonight's question of the week. And tonight's question of the week, I can always count on him. Thank you, Buddy Weiser over on Rumble for sending this over. He says, "Greetings, my internet friend. I hope this message finds you well and with stout spirits." Of course, I always have stout spirits, but thank you. He says, "I assume that nobody other than myself sent in a question since you are reading this. That is true. My inquiry is this. Where is the supremacy clause found in the Constitution? Or is it federal law?" And he says, "Thanks, Buddy Weiser." All right, buddy. So here's where the supremacy clause is. And it's straight up, if you have your Constitution handling right in front of you, you can find it. It's actually in the Constitution. What they refer to as the supremacy clause is Article 6, which not too many people know about, but Article 6, Paragraph 2, which states, "This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges of every state, the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding." And according to our friends at the Cornell Law School, they basically state that that paragraph is commonly referred to as the Supremacy Clause. It establishes that the federal Constitution and federal law in general take precedence over state laws or even state constitutions. It prohibits states from interfering with the federal government's exercise of its constitutional powers and from assuming any functions that are exclusively entrusted to the federal government. It does not, however, allow the federal government to review or veto state laws before they take effect. And that's the Supremacy Clause. It's in the Constitution itself, which, by the way, the 10th Amendment basically says that anything not stated or not specified in the Constitution as to not be a responsibility of the states, meaning that it is a exclusive responsibility of the federal government, nor anything that's not mentioned in the Constitution belongs to the states. So pretty much what is going on here is essentially the conversation is all about the Constitution is the Constitution. That sets up the federal government. That is the only thing that drives the federal government. And anything outside of that is the responsibility of the states. So even the Supremacy Clause still kind of mentions that the federal government has its part, the state has their part, the people have their part, and none of the three shall mix. And that's essentially the situation. Thank you for that. If you want to get your question in for Questions for Whiskey, or Question of the Week, I should say, Question of the Week, which is a Saturday night thing, you can do so by sending it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. Sense a theme there? I mean, you can send your Pledge of Allegiance. You can send your pet of the week, which, by the way, I have a pet of the week for Wednesday. And you're right, someone is at the door. That would have been Angus letting me know. That's Mrs. Whiskey coming home. But anyway, so yes, head on over to your email and send it off to fans@americanperspective.online. All right, folks, that ends us for tonight. Do me a favor, if you like the program and you haven't done so already, please go over to rumble.com, sign up for an account, and follow the American Perspective channel to make sure you are notified when I go live every day. Also, if you haven't already and you're signed into Rumble, please hit that thumbs up. That helps Rumble recognize the video a lot faster. And we will see you on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on American Perspective. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you Monday. Good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.